All right, family. You live with the general. You already know what time it is. We got number 5 for you over here. That's why you're here. You feel what I'm saying? We got a controversial topic today. Did Xi Jinping put a call in over to the United States, man, for old Rick Chow? Did he was it an inside job? They got this China man off over here for killing the young brother Cyrus. Is that what happened? People think that's far fetched. It's not far fetched. They put a call in, you understand, for people, and they know they be dead goddamn wrong, and they put a call in and get off. I'm gonna show you a prime example. Let's take for instance, the Prince of Saudi Arabia. You understand what I'm saying? Look at how they didn't, literally, man. The man then got off. Man whacked the reporter. What's his name? Shobi, whatever his name was. Whacked him up there in Turkey. Cut the man up and took his body out and spread it wherever they took it, and never seen the man again. And everybody know he's responsible. Know he responsible, and yet and still no charges. He got off. He got off for that. He ain't never been charged, but people know that and I understand money, but when you got somebody that can look out for you, and at this time, knowing Donald Trump, this is how people are power. How it would look, to have him locked up, and have him, giving life for killing a little black boy. You know what I'm saying? How that might look to China. You know what I'm saying? As if they ain't got a bunch of wicked inmates over there now anyway. But the fact that it's for a black boy, a black teenager, that don't sit well with a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? How you gonna lock up, we the elite? That's how they be thinking. I just want y'all to, obviously the man don't give a goddamn. You gonna kill a young boy over some water. That's fucking ridiculous. And when I reported on it the first time, I say, over some water? You's a piece of shit. You know what I'm saying? That's something you had to charge to the game. Call the police. If you feel you call the police. You know what I'm saying? If you feel the boy, he said he didn't have no water. Did they ever find the water? Did anybody ever say he found water? Did anybody find water? I didn't, I didn't follow the trial so much. Did they ever say they found water on the boy? I never heard them say they found no water. So what happened? So you mean to tell me, and even if they did, for a fucking $1, $1.50 ass water that y'all got for nothing, that y'all upped the price on, so the boy took some water, and so you unalived the boy, took his life, shot him. What they say? What they shoot him in the stomach? Shot him in the chest. You a piece of shit. You know what I'm saying? Real talk. And so he should not be able to, but they'll put a call in. Yeah, they'll put a call in for theirs. You think it ain't happened before? It's always happening. This is not gonna look good. We trying to smooth things out with China. This not gonna look good. We might need to put the fix in on this. Okay, they do it all the time. Let me grab this right quick. They do it all the time, depending on what the situation is, and who is involved in that situation. People put the call in all the time. This not gonna look good. You see what I'm saying? But our lives to these Neanderthals and these damn Asians, and they ain't worth shit. It ain't. So, that's why, when you get, in a situation and they wonder why motherfuckers go from 0 to 100 real quick. Because we already know, how these people think about us and how they treat us when we get off in this system, this judicial system, criminal justice system. We know what's going on, and so that's why we sometimes we have to be our own justice. We had to serve justice today, or we ain't gonna get none. You know what I'm saying? You'll be a dead motherfucker in the dirt, and it won't be nobody that will be charged. There will be nobody that will be held responsible for you not being here. So you have to, you have to take in consideration what your life is worth, and if you feel hell that this is somebody is ready to take, you have to do what you have to do, and don't hesitate about it. I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. I could tell you that. You know what I'm saying? I would rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. And that's what they, and that's the choice they always make. And so if it ain't one thing, it's another. And so now you got two young men, one unalive, then you got Carmelo Anthony, then you had Trayvon Martin, then you had Mike Brown, unalive that brother, just a lot of our young brothers, man, are been down through the years, have been losing their life, just losing their life. It's very sad, and it's something that we must change immediately. It's very, it's one of the most important problems that is facing Black America today. How our children are being, taken from us. All these, these very violent situations. Some of them unprovoked. You can't have these young boys out here without them being trained on what this white supremacist shit is out here. You can't have them out here just frivolously, just walking around, roaming and shit. Unlearned about, the reality of this society and this racist society and the type of, demons that exist out here. It's some demon motherfuckers. They're just like that one brother was jogging down the street and these two Neanderthals, they jumped out and killed that boy. You know what I'm saying? Talking about he went into a house. It don't make no motherfucking difference. It wasn't your motherfucking house. Even if he did go in the house, he wasn't running with shit. What you think? The man gonna steal a 2x4? It was a house they was building and shit, and they gonna act like they the law. I think they gave their ass some time, but somebody should have cracked their motherfucking head. And somebody probably is cracking their goddamn head. But they just show you that, that they could do this to us. And we have to decide that it's not gonna happen that way. You have to decide what your life is worth, and we have to decide what our lives is worth, because we have to move in numbers, and numbers is power, mass is power. It could be, mass is equals force. You see, in movement, you can have masses, but you got to have movement. And if you got if you got masses, you got movement, you got will, and you have momentum, then you have force. Just having numbers don't mean shit. You got to have will. You got to have a blueprint. But you got to have will. Will meaning, the energy to make it be. You got the energy to make it be. That's will. And as you move in that will, you got to establish momentum. You see what I'm saying? You continuously making moves. You understand? To bring your objective to reality. You gonna make it be. To make it be, you got to have will. You got to have masses, and you got to have momentum. And if you got that, you got force. You got force. We had to build up force out here. We got a lot of momentum of the jaws moving back and forth and shit, talking shit. But ain't no real momentum on this beast, you understand, to bring him to his knees. You feel what I'm saying? And about, killing our people and, bringing, still, violence and aggression towards our people. And we have to and look at what we're doing to ourselves also. But that's a lot of the reason the psychological trauma of not dealing with the first situation that you begin to tumble and tumble and tumble. You begin to tumble into where you doing it to your damn self. You're doing it to your damn self now. And so they can say, look, see, look at it. But it's the trauma that it was never the trauma from slavery never healed. See, they keep saying, "Oh, well, motherfucker, go to war, motherfucker, and come over and never heal." They psychologically damaged. And you pass that shit down, and people, and you still under oppression where you can't go here. Somebody gonna bust your head. You can have white people just jump out their car, start whooping your ass, and I see the pictures. We can go back to the '60s. We see the pictures sicking dogs on motherfuckers. We see the pictures, just so nasty, nasty, aggressive, violent, you know. And so, that's generational trauma that we dealing with, that we face with today. It is. It's generational trauma. But I wouldn't be surprised that, higher ups in China, put a call in, and on they probably already knew this man was his trial was coming up, and they probably all had already fixed it long time ago. You know what I'm saying? They probably had already put the fix in long time ago and get this tap dancing nigga, Pinocchio nose nigga to get up there to be the lawyer to go out there and tap dance after he didn't executed a 17. How weak is you? You know what I'm saying? Then all cases you just take this case knowing this boy done been murdered for some water and you gonna demonize did he demonize the boy? Did that man, if that nigga demonized Cyrus, they need to boycott that nigga and make sure that he don't, his days of being a lawyer, it should be numbered. You know what I'm saying? Should be numbered to go up there to demonize a boy that didn't been unalived over some water. Is you a man, or I mean, what is you? You know, yeah, I tell you, the dollar, what people do for money, what people do for money and power, and how they, all these niggas with these degrees, and they always, and I bet you, I'm gonna find out about that nigga. I'm gonna go dig into it. I want to see what his affiliations is, who pulling the strings on it. Watch me. I'm gonna come back on that lawyer. And that made me think, what would make him they put that motherfucker out there to tap dance, and say, look, all black people don't think like that. That he was justified, and then look, even the lawyers say it. How dare that nigga go up there and do that? But anyway, family, I appreciate you for being out here supporting the general. Make sure you get over to Patreon. Click the link at the top of the chat. Mississippi Mound Builders and Children of the African Olmecs. And yes, indeed, we're getting off into our esoterical black divinity, the Egyptian dragon Morpheus, the dragon and the dream world, family. We're going to be talking about the pineal, our melanin divinity. Tap in, family, and get that work. And I'll see you in a minute. Black Power.